The restaurant lights blurred softly through the haze of warm amber, but to Adam Carter, the single dad and army veteran sitting alone at a corner table, every minute felt sharper than the last. His fingers tapped quietly against the water glass, the ice long since melted, while the empty chair across from him seemed to stare back like a reminder of every disappointment he had swallowed over the years. He had been stood up before, but tonight was supposed to mean something different. Tonight was supposed to be a chance he hadn't allowed himself in a very long time. He wore the only dress shirt he owned that still felt new, pressed with care by his teenage daughter that morning before school. He had rehearsed a smile in the mirror, practiced small talk, and convinced himself that he might finally meet someone who saw more than the quiet man with a past full of scars. But as minutes stretched into nearly an hour, the soft buzz of the room faded into a dull ache. For a moment, Adam wondered if fate simply enjoyed reminding him how alone he truly was. Backhand index pointing right. If you believe in kindness, healing, and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name. It helps stories like this reach more hearts. Adam had learned to live in the quiet. After returning from deployment years earlier, he had lost far more than sleep. He had lost his marriage, his sense of ease, and the parts of himself he once recognized. The only light left in his life had been his daughter Emma, who had become both his anchor and his reason to push through each day. He promised her he would try again, try to build a life outside the walls of work, parenting, and memories that crept in when the house got too still. That promise echoed in his chest now as he stared at the half-folded napkin on the table and wondered why he had believed hope would meet him here tonight. Just as he started to stand, preparing himself for the familiar walk of defeat back to his truck, the sound of small hurried footsteps approached. He almost didn't look up, assuming it was just a family passing. But then, 4 children stopped right at his table. 4. All dressed as if they had gotten ready in a rush, tiny shoes slightly mismatched, hair combed with whatever time they had. A boy holding a soft brown teddy bear stepped forward, pushed gently by a girl who looked a little older. Their faces were flushed, a mix of nervousness and determination. The girl spoke first, her voice trembling with courage she shouldn't have needed at her age. She whispered that their mother was sorry she was late. She had been stuck at work, then traffic, then chaos, something about a shift being extended, something about trying her best. The youngest girl tugged at Adam's sleeve and told him their mommy told them to hurry, told them to find the kind man waiting alone. For a moment, Adam could barely breathe. It wasn't the fact that the woman had children, he had known that. It wasn't the shock of 4 kids appearing before him like an unexpected chorus of tiny messengers. It was the sincerity in their eyes. It was the way they looked at him with hope, almost as if they were afraid he might leave before giving their mother a chance. And in that instant, something inside him softened. Something cracked. Something shifted. He knelt down slowly, feeling the stiffness in his knees, and told them it was okay, that he wasn't going anywhere. The youngest boy grabbed his hand without hesitation, as though he had known Adam for years instead of seconds. They stood with him, holding on to him as if protecting him from the loneliness that had been sitting across from him all night. A moment later, she appeared. She was breathless, her hair pulled into a messy bun, her uniform still wrinkled from a long shift. Her eyes were tired yet full of apology, and when she reached the table, she looked at Adam with the kind of embarrassment only a hard-working single mother could understand. She said she had tried, she had really tried, to be on time. But life had a way of stacking itself on top of her until she had no choice but to run behind. Her name was Rachel. Adam had imagined meeting her under soft lighting and quiet music, not like this, with her cheeks flushed from worry, with her children watching anxiously, with the weight of the world hanging over her shoulders. But somehow, this felt more real, more honest, more human. It felt like a beginning built not on perfection, but on truth. He invited them all to sit. The table that had felt painfully empty minutes earlier was now overflowing, with noise, with laughter, with clumsy little hands grabbing bread rolls, with children talking over each other, with a mother trying desperately to keep her apologies contained. Adam found himself smiling without effort, something he hadn't done in years. He told Rachel she didn't need to apologize. He understood more than she knew. He knew what it meant to struggle, to fight day after day, to hold a family together with nothing but grit and love. As the dinner unfolded, he learned that she worked double shifts at the hospital as a nurse, that she had been raising her children on her own since their father left during her last pregnancy, that she hadn't even planned on dating again until her sister had made her a profile. He saw the exhaustion behind her eyes but also the fierce love she carried for her kids. And she learned about him, how he had raised Emma alone, how the war had taken things from him he still didn't know how to name, how he had spent years putting everyone else first. The children warmed to him instantly. They asked him questions about his military patches and told him stories about school, and even though Rachel tried to hush them, Adam told her it was fine. He loved it. He loved the chaos, the noise, the warmth. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he belonged in a moment, not just passing through it. When the meal ended, Rachel apologized again, saying she understood if he didn't want a second date after all this. But Adam surprised even himself when he said he wanted one. He wanted many. He wanted to know her story, her heart, her laughter. He wanted to know the children who had run up to him without fear and filled the hollow quiet of his evening with life. And when she smiled back, soft and amazed, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The second date came with less chaos. The third came with laughter. The fourth came with moments where she opened up about nights she cried alone after the kids slept, wondering if she was doing anything right. And Adam shared pieces of himself he hadn't shared with anyone in years, things about the war, about losing friends, about losing the version of himself he used to be. They healed each other in quiet, imperfect moments. Months later, Adam realized he wasn't just dating Rachel, he was building a world with her. One where Emma had siblings she adored, where his evenings were filled with homework, spilled juice, bedtime stories, and hugs that came without warning. One where he didn't sit alone at a restaurant staring at an empty chair. One evening, long after the kids had fallen asleep on the couch during movie night, Rachel whispered that she had been afraid that night, afraid he would leave, afraid he would give up before knowing her, afraid she wasn't enough. Adam told her she had been more than enough. She had been the miracle he didn't know he needed. And in that living room filled with the soft breathing of sleepy children, Adam held her hand like a promise. Backhand index pointing right. If this story